Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to some more Dragalia Lost. The Halloween event is finally here. There's a lot of things to grind, and with the event comes with a new summoning banner, and the star of the banner is 5-star Elisanne. In this video, I'm going to break down her entire kit so you guys can get a better understanding of how she works and where she stands among the rest of the units. So first off, Halloween Elisanne is a light lance unit. There's only 3 of those in the game currently, including her. The 3 are Malka, who is a 3-star, then there's 4-star Elisanne. Obviously, Elisanne has a higher ceiling and has better overall stats than Elisanne and Malka because she's a 5-star gacha, but they do slightly different things in terms of skills, and I'll bring it up later in the skill segment of this video. At least I will for Malka because he's a support unit just like Elisanne. On the other hand, Elisanne is a defender, so I'm not going to bother comparing him to Elisanne. For now, let's talk about stats. Elisanne's max potential strength is 483 and HP is 793. And when I mean max potential, I mean these are her stats at max level with a fully completed mana circle. Out of all 68 characters, she ranks 9th in HP and 10th in strength, which doesn't sound that bad, but there's only 11 5-star characters in the game currently, so it's kind of average to be honest. Due to her being a support class, I think a better way to display her stat ranking is by categorizing her with other support units. And among all 21 support units, she ranks 2nd in strength and 3rd in HP. She's actually near identical to Siegfried in terms of stats. They're only a point off in strength and HP, so if you're familiar with Siegfried, then Elisanne performs just about the same in combat in terms of auto attack damage and tanking capabilities if we exclude skills and the elemental triangle. Now, that doesn't really mean much because skills and abilities are more impactful elements of a character's arsenal, which brings us to our next topic, her skills. She has 2 skills. They are Sacred Maiden and Mischief Maker. Sacred Maiden is going to be her main skill that she's going to spam. It only has an SP cost of 2,450. That's a relatively low costing skill. Like if you're familiar with the main protagonist, Yuden, his first skill, Blazing Circlet, fills up pretty quick and it only has an SP cost of 2,376. And if we take a look at Celeria's Ardent Stream skill, it only has an SP cost of 2,537. So yeah, Halloween Elisanne's Sacred Maiden will be used very often in battle, and if you read the effect, you can see why. Sacred Maiden has 3 phases. When you first activate the skill, she performs 8 hits that deals 93, 104 or 115% light damage depending on the skill's level to enemies and activates skill shift. Filling up Sacred Maiden and using it a second time will perform the phase 2 effect, which does the same amount of damage as phase 1, but in addition it increases the team's strength by 5, 8 or 10% for 15 seconds. So basically for phase 2 it's a damage effect with a moderate strength buff. The strength buff itself is actually not that good considering that in order to get Sacred Maiden level 3, you have to unlock it on the last floor of her mana circle, so you're probably stuck with Sacred Maiden level 2 for a while. I mean, I consider the buff to be just okay. The fact that it's just a secondary effect on such a spammy skill is what makes it kinda good. Like if we take a look at 3-star Malka again, his second skill, Pride of Forge, is a strength buff that increases the party strength by 8% at level 1 and 10% at level 2. Level 1 Pride of Forge grants the same buff percentage as Sacred Maiden level 2, while Pride of Forge level 2 is the same as Sacred Maiden level 3. But here's the thing, Pride of Forge has an SP cost of 6,610, while Sacred Maiden's is 2,450. Elisanne only has to use Sacred Maiden twice in order to get the strength buff, therefore it's like a 4,900 SP costing strength buffing skill, but she gets other effects along the way to phase 2 while Pride of Forge does nothing during its downtime. I understand that comparing a 5-star to a 3-star is kinda dumb since 5-stars are obviously better, but Malka is the only other light support lance unit so far, so this is the only unit that I can make a real comparison to. But on to phase 3. Again, same light damage as the other 2 phases, but this time it has a healing effect which heals for 72, 90, or 108 depending on its level. The recovery potency scaling is actually the same as Halloween Althemia's Sweet Treat skill. The difference is the SP cost. Althemia's costs 5,916 while 3 uses of Sacred Maiden is 7,350. It does cost quite a bit if you're trying to get the healing effect, but then again, you're also getting other effects along the way to phase 3. And then lastly, if you activate Sacred Maiden after phase 3, then it loops it back to phase 1. I think this is actually a pretty cool effect. While the skill doesn't produce the best numbers, it does bring a lot of utility to the table. It grabs bits and pieces of different things and it's good for most situations. Her second skill is Mischief Maker. It deals 75 or 83% light damage and fills the user's skill gauges by 350 or 500 SP depending on the skill's level. I like the skill synergy here. It has a really good synergy with Sacred Maiden because it fills the skill gauges and makes Sacred Maiden even more spammable. Once you get enough SP to use Mischief Maker, that should give you about the right amount of SP in order to use Sacred Maiden phase 2. Alright, so those are her two skills. Now let's move on to co-abilities. Just a quick FYI, I probably won't go over co-abilities and reviews in the far future because there's a fixed effect for each weapon, but since the game is new, I'm going to briefly cover it. All Lance users have this co-ability that increases the team's health by a certain percentage. The scaling is different depending on the unit's base rarity. I will show you a graphic for you guys to see. The co-abilities do not stack, so for example, if you have two 5-star Lance units on your team, then you won't get a 30% HP buff. So this kind of forces you to build a team with diverse weapon types. Other than that, there's really nothing else to it. The HP buff gives your team more HP and makes them a tad bit bulkier. That's about it. The last thing to cover are her abilities. First ability is Skill Damage. This increases damage for Sacred Maiden and Mischief Maker, which is great. She's gonna spam Sacred Maiden a lot, so Skill Damage is the perfect ability for her. Her second ability is Curse Resistance, which reduces susceptibility to curses. The curse status ailment prevents the unit from being able to use skills and Dragon Transformation, so for a unit who likes to spam skills a lot, this is a pretty good resistance ability to have. Third ability is Gauge Accelerator. I was kind of confused by this text, but I finally realized what it does. Let me show you guys another ability called Gauge Inhibitor. When it says Mode Gauge, it's referring to Overdrive mode. So what that means is that when a boss is in Overdrive mode, Gauge Accelerator will decrease the Overdrive bar faster, or in other words, make it faster to break the enemy. Gauge Inhibitor slows the rate that the Overdrive bar increases. You might be thinking, why would I want to do that? Wouldn't I want to get a boss to overdrive mode as soon as possible so I can break it faster? Yes and no. Even though it slows the rate, your unit is still dealing the same amount of damage to the enemy. So in situations where there might be a boss that has a very dangerous overdrive state, you might want to bring someone with Gauge Inhibitor so your team can deal a bit more damage before the boss goes crazy. By the way, these two abilities actually complement each other pretty well. With both of these abilities on your team can deal damage while the boss is relaxed. Then when they finally go into overdrive mode, then you can break it faster by using somebody with Gauge Accelerator. Halloween Elisanne is the only unit so far with Gauge Accelerator, so that's pretty nice, I guess. So yeah, that's about it for her kit. You guys can decide for yourself whether or not you should pull for her based on the information I've given you. However, I will still give you guys my personal thoughts on her. I actually think she's pretty good. Considering the fact that a light attacker unit is non-existent right now, Halloween Elisanne is the closest thing to an offensive light melee unit. She also has a decent stat line. I like her synergistic skills and I enjoy using lance units, so I was ready to summon for her. Unfortunately, I didn't get her after spending 13,000 Wormite, which is pretty sad to say the least, but I got some other cool things in the process, including Hildegard, which I really wanted, 3 Nidhogg's, and some pretty good worm prints, so I was pretty content with what I got despite not getting Halloween Elisanne. Anyways, most of you guys probably summoned already, so let me know who you got and how much you spent. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, I would highly appreciate it. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more high quality Dragalia Lost content. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.